The Ziran homeworld, Vayara, gleamed under the light of its twin suns. Cities floated above crystal-clear oceans, connected by transparent bridges and humming skyways. Vayrans, a species known for their intelligence and calm demeanor, lived in harmony with their technology and environment. Their minds were curious, their knowledge vast, and their history long. Yet among all the stars they had studied, one species remained a legend, a whisper in the archives. Humans. Most Zirans considered the stories about humans to be exaggerations. Ancient records described them as unpredictable, powerful, and unyielding. They were called a threat beyond measure, yet no Ziran had ever seen one. The myths were dismissed as warnings from paranoid explorers, cautionary tales about a species too small to matter in the galaxy's grand design. On this particular day, the calm of Vayara was about to break. In the vastness of space, sensors in orbit picked up an object moving at impossible speeds. At first, the readings were dismissed as glitches. Objects occasionally passed by their sensors, sometimes rogue asteroids or debris from distant systems. But this object behaved differently. Its velocity, trajectory, and energy signature were unlike anything Vayara had ever encountered. In the Ziran Command Center, a circular chamber filled with holographic displays, high-ranking officials watched as the blip moved closer. "It's approaching the atmosphere," said Commander Rylan, her six-fingered hands moving rapidly over the control panel. Her voice, usually calm, held an unusual tension. Advisors whispered among themselves. Could it be a natural phenomenon? A comet, perhaps? One suggested. Rylan shook her head. Nothing natural moves like this. Its speed, the way it adjusts course, it is controlled. A hush fell over the room. For the first time, the myth of humanity seemed less like a story and more like a warning. Far above the planet, the object slowed as it approached Vayara's atmosphere. It glowed with a metallic sheen reflecting the twin suns. The ship's design was elegant yet purposeful, with curves and angles that suggested both speed and strength. It did not resemble any known vessel in the Ziran archives. Even the most advanced scout ships paled in comparison. Ziran scientists hurried to analyze its energy readings. "It is unlike any propulsion we know," said Dr. Velis, a leading xenotechnologist. "It bends space in a controlled manner. It could reach distant systems in what we perceive as minutes." "Minutes?" gasped a young officer. "Yes," Velis replied. "If this is one ship, imagine what an entire fleet could do." The council called an emergency meeting. Leaders from every major sector of Vayara gathered in the Grand Hall of Consensus, a vast dome lined with crystal panels that reflected the sun's light. Panic was tempered by centuries of disciplined governance, but tension hung heavy in the air. "It has landed," said Envoy Torella, her voice steady despite the concern around her. "The coordinates show it on the northern plains near the ancient ruins of old Vayara." The ruins were a sacred place, a reminder of the Zirans' long history. No one had lived there for centuries. The council members exchanged worried glances. "Do we approach them?" asked High Counselor Chiron, his tentacle-like appendages folding over the edge of his chair. "First we observe," said Torella. "We do not know their intentions, but myths." Chiron's voice grew quieter. "The records warned about humans. They said we would not understand them, that they could overcome any obstacle. We have always believed it was impossible. Now," he trailed off, staring at the holomap where the ship rested on the plains below. The humans stepped out of their ship. They moved with quiet confidence. Their appearance was strange to the Zirans, upright, symmetrical, and seemingly fragile, yet their presence radiated an energy the Zirans could not measure. They did not wear visible armor, yet their posture suggested readiness. Their movements were deliberate, precise, and calm. Commander Rylan and her team watched through long-range scanners. The humans did not carry weapons in the conventional sense. Instead, they held small devices, carefully studying the environment, scanning the air, the ground, and the atmosphere. "They are analyzing," Rylan whispered. Dr. Velis nodded. "Yes, they study everything and they adapt quickly. Look at how they adjust to the planet's gravity and air composition. They are efficient." Outside the council chambers, news of the landing spread quickly through Vayara's population. Citizens gathered in observation plazas and virtual networks, debating what this could mean. Children stared at screens, fascinated. Scholars whispered about the possibility that the myth of humanity was real. Fear and curiosity mixed in equal measure. On the northern plains, the humans activated a small drone. It hovered silently, mapping the terrain and transmitting data back to their ship. The drone's sensors detected minerals, water sources, and traces of ancient Xeran architecture. Within moments, it calculated optimal energy use for traversal and identified safe areas for future exploration. Xeran analysts were stunned. Even the most advanced Xeran drones would take hours to perform this scan. Humans had done it in minutes. They are fast learners, Dr. Velis murmured. Not just fast, they improve as they observe. This could change everything we know about intelligence. Meanwhile, a small group of Xeran soldiers approached the humans' location cautiously. Their weapons were inactive, but energy shields surrounded them. Every step was careful, every move calculated. The humans noticed immediately. They raised their hands slightly in a gesture of peace and began speaking in a universal translation device. "Greetings," one human said. "We come in peace. We are explorers. We wish only to learn about your world and share knowledge." The Xerans froze. Their eyes widened. Communication had never been so direct or calm. Some were skeptical. Could these beings truly mean no harm? Commander Rylan stepped forward, her voice steady. "I am Commander Rylan of Veyara. You are on our planet without permission. Explain yourselves." The human nodded respectfully. "We understand your caution. We mean no intrusion. We seek only understanding and friendship. We bring knowledge and tools, but we do not impose our will. We believe in cooperation, not conquest." Despite the human words, unease remained. Within the council chambers, debates raged. "They are too advanced," said High Counselor Chiron. "Their technology, their knowledge, it is not natural for a species so young. The myths warned us of their power. We cannot ignore it," Envoy Torella argued. "Perhaps the myths were warnings, not of war, but of potential. They are cautious, respectful. If we react with hostility, we could create a threat where none exists." Rylan remained silent, her gaze fixed on the northern plains. She could see the humans through enhanced scanners. They were setting up small equipment, scanning, observing, but not touching or damaging anything. There was discipline, intelligence, and patience in every movement. "And yet," Kieran countered, "their very presence is a challenge. They are capable of feats no Xeran can match. If they chose to be a threat." His voice trailed off, the weight of possibility hanging in the air. Hours passed. The human's ship remained grounded, but small lights flickered within its hull. Their drones continued surveying. They began constructing a small habitat that adapted perfectly to Veyara's environment, demonstrating technology that could terraform or purify land efficiently. The council finally decided to send a delegation of scholars and diplomats to meet the humans. They traveled cautiously, fully aware that any misstep could ignite panic or conflict. When the Xeran delegation reached the northern plains, they witnessed something unexpected. The humans had already built a temporary structure, not imposing but highly functional. Energy fields shimmered around the habitat, stabilizing the environment, and small plants adapted to local soil had already begun growing inside. The humans greeted them warmly. "We wish only to learn and share. Please ask anything you like." The Xerans were stunned into silence. These beings, mythical, powerful, feared, offered not domination, not destruction, but cooperation. Dr. Velis stepped forward, curiosity overcoming caution. How can you do this? Your technology is beyond our understanding." The human smiled faintly. "We learn from the world around us. We improve together. Knowledge is not possession, it is shared. Our strength lies not in domination, but in unity and adaptation." The delegation returned to the council with heavy minds and racing hearts. They reported everything, from the humans' calm demeanor to their incredible technology. The myths were no longer stories. Humans were real. Humans were here. Humans were extraordinary. As night fell over Veyara, the twin suns set behind distant mountains, casting long shadows over the northern plains. The human ship rested quietly, a silent challenge to every assumption the Xerans had made about the galaxy. The myths were true. Humanity was no ordinary species, and the Xerans were only beginning to understand the magnitude of what had arrived. The council's debate continued long into the night, but one truth became clear. The galaxy had just changed, and the first chapter of humanity's legend on Veyara was only beginning. The morning after the humans landed, Veyara's skies glimmered with soft light. From the command center to distant observation platforms, Zirans watched the northern plains. The humans' presence had shifted the planet's atmosphere. Where fear and curiosity had been scattered whispers the day before, now awe and fascination ran through the population like a current. The human ship stood quietly, its smooth metallic surface reflecting the twin suns. Around it, small drones hovered, scanning, recording, and transmitting data back to the humans. They did not hide, they did not attack, yet their confidence was unmistakable. Every Ziran who observed them felt a mixture of admiration and unease. Commander Rylan prepared the first official meeting. She and a team of Ziran delegates, including scholars, diplomats, and scientists, would travel to the landing site to greet the humans formally. Their approach was cautious. Energy shields hummed softly around their convoy, and each movement was precise. Even though the humans had made no hostile gestures, the myths of old echoed in their minds. Humans were unstoppable, unpredictable, and dangerous. When the delegation arrived, the humans were already waiting. Their forms were upright and symmetrical, familiar yet strange. Their posture radiated calm confidence. They did not carry visible weapons, but every Ziran sensed they could defend themselves if necessary. One of the humans, taller than the rest and with calm brown eyes, stepped forward. "Welcome," the human said, their voice clear in the universal translator. "We are explorers. We come in peace. Our purpose is to learn, observe, and share knowledge. We wish to cooperate with your people." Rylan studied them carefully. "You arrive uninvited on Veyara, yet you claim peace. Why should we trust you?" The human inclined their head respectfully. "Trust is built, not demanded. We do not expect it immediately. Observe us, test us, ask questions. We have nothing to hide." The first hours were spent in observation and cautious dialogue. Ziran scientists activated environmental scanners, measuring the humans' physiology, their adaptation to local gravity, and the subtle energy they emitted. Each reading astounded them. Humans adapted rapidly to environmental changes. Their metabolic efficiency was unlike anything recorded in Ziran history. "Look at their movements," whispered Dr. Velis, adjusting the magnification on his scanner. "They adjust instantly to uneven terrain, variations in atmosphere, and even subtle gravitational shifts." Their physiology. "It is remarkable." The humans demonstrated their technology next. A small, compact device unfolded in the air, scanning the plains and transmitting a detailed 3D map to a portable holographic display. Within moments, it identified safe pathways, water sources, mineral deposits, and even remnants of ancient Ziran structures. "This cannot be possible," muttered a young Ziran officer. "Our drones would take hours to complete a scan like this." "It's more than speed," Dr. Velis replied. "They learn and adapt as they observe. They improve in real time. Their intelligence, it is beyond calculation." As the day progressed, the humans moved carefully through the plains. They studied the soil, traced patterns in the wind, and even helped stabilize parts of the ruins with portable devices. Each act was deliberate, efficient, and non-intrusive. The Zirans could not stop watching. Citizens gathered on viewing platforms across the northern hemisphere. Some whispered in fear the myths were true. Others spoke in admiration. "They are extraordinary." Children, unaware of danger, marveled at the humans' ability to interact with the environment so naturally. "Observe their discipline," said Terella, standing beside Commander Rylan. "They do not touch anything without purpose. They respect this land while learning from it. And yet," Rylan said quietly, "their presence alone is a challenge. If they chose to be aggressive, nothing could stop them." Terella nodded, eyes fixed on the humans. "That is why myths often serve as warnings, not predictions. Power alone does not define threat. How it is used does." By mid-afternoon, the delegation decided to test the humans' adaptability in a controlled exercise. Small obstacles were arranged in the plains: uneven terrain, energy field barriers, and simulated environmental hazards. The humans approached calmly. Without hesitation, they analyzed each obstacle. They adjusted their movement patterns, used small tools to stabilize tricky areas, and even modified temporary energy barriers to create safe passages. Ziran observers recorded every detail. "They are creative," Dr. Velis said, astonished. "Their solutions are not only efficient but elegant. There is no waste, no unnecessary action, and they learned instantly from failure." A group of young Ziran engineers tried to communicate with the humans during the exercise. They posed questions about physics, energy distribution, and structural integrity. The humans responded with simple, clear explanations, demonstrating principles that Zirans had never applied practically. One engineer exclaimed, "They take theory and apply it seamlessly in reality." "Yes," Velis replied, "and their confidence never falters. Observe how they adapt, not just survive, but thrive in an unfamiliar environment." Meanwhile, whispers of skepticism and fear grew among certain Ziran factions. A counselor named Kieran met privately with high-ranking officers. "We cannot ignore the possibility that these beings are a threat. Legends say humans are unstoppable. Their efficiency, adaptability, and calm under pressure. It is unnerving. We must prepare defenses discreetly." Another counselor, Torella, disagreed. "They have shown no aggression. They respect our rules, our lands, our people. Acting hastily could provoke conflict unnecessarily. The legends describe power, not intent. Observe their intent before assuming threat." Kieran frowned. "Intent is difficult to measure. Their presence alone changes the balance. If they are as capable as the myths say..." He trailed off, knowing that his fears were grounded in centuries of warning stories. That evening, humans set up a small, portable habitat near the northern ruins. It was sleek, functional, and self-sufficient. Energy fields shimmered to stabilize the environment, and small plants, engineered to adapt quickly, began growing inside. Ziran scientists studied it from a distance, noting the efficiency of the systems, the subtle integration with local conditions, and the absence of waste. One young scientist whispered, "It is as if they can create life and order effortlessly." Dr. Velis replied, "Not effortlessly, purposefully. They understand systems in a way we only study theoretically. Their intelligence is practical, adaptive, and harmonious." From a distance, Commander Rylan observed the humans. "They do not need to assert dominance," she said quietly. "And yet, they leave an impression of power far beyond anything we have seen. If they wanted to, they could take control with ease, but they do not." Torella added, "That is the difference between myth and reality. A true legend is not only about power, but how it is wielded. Humanity may be the first species to match both." The first night on Veyara was quiet, but the humans' presence left a ripple across the planet. News networks broadcast the images of the ship, the habitat, and the humans' calm interactions. Citizens debated whether to feel awe, fear, or hope. Scholars began revisiting ancient texts, finding subtle details about humans that were previously dismissed. Even the radicals among the Zirans could not deny the evidence. Humans were real. They were here. And they were extraordinary. Above the northern plains, the twin moons of Veyara rose slowly. The humans' habitat glimmered under the moon's light, and the drones continued their careful observations. The first official contact had begun. Dialogue was open, intentions were clear, and yet the mystery of humanity's true potential lingered in the Zirans' minds. Commander Rylan returned to the capital with the delegation. Reports were filed, meetings convened, and debates continued. Some saw humans as an opportunity, a chance to learn and grow. Others saw them as a threat, a challenge to centuries of comfort and control. As the sun set over the city of Veyara, one thought echoed in every mind. The myths were real, and humanity had arrived. The first contact was only the beginning, and somewhere within the human ship, the tall explorer looked up at the twin moons, aware that the Zirans were watching closely, learning, and measuring. Humanity's journey had begun on Veyara, but this was just the first chapter of a story that would reach far beyond one planet. The days that followed the humans' arrival on Veyara were filled with quiet observation and cautious interaction. Humans moved across the northern plains with calm purpose, continuing their study of the environment and ancient ruins. Each step, each measurement, each gesture of cooperation with Zirans impressed the observers. Yet not all watched with admiration. Among the council members, debates grew sharper. Some argued that the humans' peaceful demeanor was genuine, a rare glimpse of intelligence tempered by ethics. Others, especially the radicals among the military factions, whispered warnings of hidden agendas. High Counselor Kieran paced his chambers in the grand hall of consensus. "They display no aggression," he said aloud, mostly to himself. "And yet their power is undeniable. If they chose, they could dominate this planet in hours." The myths were true in every detail. Envoy Torella spoke softly from across the room. "Power alone does not make a threat. Their actions so far are cooperative. Observe them for patterns before jumping to conclusions." Kieran stopped pacing, his eyes narrowing. Patterns? They have none. That is the problem. Unpredictability is their true strength. We cannot rely on assumptions. We must prepare for what might come. Tensions within the council mirrored tensions across the planet. Citizens were divided between fascination and fear. Scholars debated whether humans were a chance to learn, while radicals suggested containment or even elimination. Meanwhile, humans continued their work, unaware of the undercurrents of fear swirling through Vayara's leadership. They walked through ruins, scanned ancient structures, and shared knowledge through demonstration rather than words. One human device, small and handheld, displayed holographic projections of structural weaknesses in the ruins. Xeran engineers observed as the humans carefully reinforced damaged sections without harming the original stonework. "This is extraordinary," said Dr. Velis, kneeling beside the hologram. "They do not simply rebuild. They understand the balance between preservation and improvement. It is as if they see not just what is, but what could be." A young Xeran engineer whispered, "How can they do this? No machine we have is capable of such analysis in real time." "They are not machines," Velis said quietly. "They are intelligent, adaptable, and efficient. They learn faster than we can measure." As the humans worked, children from nearby villages approached cautiously. Humans knelt to their level, showing curiosity and patience rather than fear or condescension. They allowed the children to observe their tools and even gently interact with harmless drones, teaching them through experience. Xeran adults watched from a distance, fascinated. The humans' ability to educate, adapt, and remain calm impressed them far more than any weapon or show of force could. However, the radicals among the Xeran population were growing restless. They whispered in secret meetings, claiming that no species should wield such power without consequence. One radical leader, Laren, argued that humans were testing the planet, assessing weaknesses for a possible future conquest. "They do not reveal their true capabilities," Laren said. "Their knowledge, their tools, their efficiency, this is not ordinary. They are too calm, too controlled. That is the mark of a predator, one that can wait for the right moment to strike." A small group of followers nodded in agreement. They began planning a covert operation to test the humans' limits, intending to provoke a reaction and prove whether humanity was a genuine threat. Humans, however, were not blind to the subtle tension. While exploring a remote canyon, they noticed unusual energy readings, traces of hidden surveillance devices, signs that someone had been observing them secretly. One human looked at another. "They are curious, but cautious. Some may not trust us yet," the other nodded. "Let them watch. It will tell us more than words ever could." Rather than confronting the Xerans aggressively, they adapted their behavior to minimize risk. Drones were adjusted to monitor the observers discreetly, mapping potential threats without escalation. Every step, every gesture was deliberate, measured, and non-threatening. By midweek, a small confrontation occurred. A hidden squad of Xeran radicals attempted to disable one of the human survey drones. They approached silently, expecting surprise and fear. The humans detected the movement instantly. Instead of retaliating violently, they activated a containment field that harmlessly trapped the intruders in a gentle energy bubble, immobilizing them without harm. "Release them," one human said calmly. "We mean no harm, even to those who test us." Xeran soldiers arrived to witness the scene. The radicals were unharmed but embarrassed, trapped in a clear energy cage that could have held them indefinitely. Commander Rylan, observing from a distance, frowned in concern. "This is unusual," she said. "They could have eliminated the threat entirely, and yet they chose restraint." Dr. Velis nodded. "That is human nature, apparently. Strength and control, paired with ethical choice. It is unsettling and inspiring." The incident sparked heated debate among the council. Some argued that the humans' restraint proved their peaceful intentions, demonstrating intelligence and ethics beyond any species they had known. Others, particularly Chiron and Laren, claimed it was a demonstration of potential power, meant to intimidate Xerans into submission. The humans, aware of these debates through careful observation of Xeran behavior, continued to demonstrate patience and adaptability. They engaged scholars in experiments explaining principles of energy, physics, and biology in simple terms. They helped engineers design efficient energy grids and water purification systems. Every act was deliberate, efficient, and respectful, Children, too, were drawn to them. Humans taught them about observation, problem-solving, and teamwork without imposing authority. Stories of human patience and cooperation began to spread across Veyara, challenging old myths of humanity as purely dangerous. Despite these efforts, fear lingered. Humans were unlike any species the Zirans had encountered. Their intelligence was adaptive, their problem-solving fast, and their calm confidence unnerving. Legends that had once seemed exaggerated now appeared understated. Chiron convened a private meeting with military leaders. We cannot underestimate them. Their behavior so far is cooperative, but what if this is only the first stage? They are capable of feats beyond our comprehension. We must have a plan, Laren added. I agree. Observation alone is not enough. We must understand them better, test their limits without provoking full conflict. Only then can we determine if they are truly a threat or a lesson. Meanwhile, humans continued their peaceful exploration. They moved through forests, plains, and ruins, studying, analyzing, and sometimes assisting Ziran citizens with small technological innovations. Each interaction emphasized cooperation, curiosity, and respect. One evening, Commander Rylan visited the humans' temporary habitat. She observed them working on a device that could purify large volumes of water for nearby villages. They moved calmly, methodically, explaining their process to Ziran engineers who tried to follow along. You teach without taking control, Rylan said. You show strength yet do not demand obedience. That is unsettling in its own way. A human smiled faintly. Knowledge is strongest when shared. Control is only necessary when safety is at stake. We believe in learning together, not domination. Rylan nodded slowly. Your methods are effective, but your restraint, it is remarkable. I have never seen a species so capable and yet so careful. As the night settled, the humans' habitat glowed softly under the twin moons. Drones hovered quietly, scanning and recording, while humans rested briefly before continuing their work the next day. Observers could not help but notice the subtle coordination between humans, their tools, and the environment. Everything seemed harmonious, purposeful, and precise. Yet beneath the calm, attention persisted. Some Zirans whispered that the humans' efficiency was too perfect, their restraint calculated. Others marveled at the potential to learn from such a species. The planet itself seemed divided between fear and fascination, and in the shadows the radicals continued their secret planning. They were determined to understand humans fully, even if it meant testing them in ways that could provoke unforeseen consequences. The myths were no longer stories. Humans were here, adapting, observing, and interacting in ways that challenged centuries of understanding. For the Zirans, the question was no longer whether humans were real. It was what humanity would do next, and whether Veyara would be ready for the answers. The first contact had been peaceful, but as humans continued to demonstrate intelligence, adaptability, and restraint, the seeds of suspicion were sown. In the minds of some Zirans, the legend of humanity as a force both inspiring and dangerous was just beginning to take shape. The galaxy held its breath. After months of observation, conflict, and adaptation, humanity had firmly established itself on the Epsilon planet. Their colony had grown into a small city, a testament to resilience, ingenuity, and determination. While alien eyes monitored every move, the humans continued their work, unaware that their every success was redefining what other civilizations believed possible. Captain Lena Rourke stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, overlooking the bustling settlement. The twin moons cast a silver light across the plains, and the soft hum of machinery, conversations, and laughter filled the air. It was quiet, almost serene. But everyone aboard knew that peace was often temporary in a universe filled with powerful watchers. Captain, Lieutenant Chen reported from the lab, the sensors are picking up unusual activity near the northern ridge. We're detecting energy fluctuations consistent with advanced alien propulsion systems. Rourke's gaze sharpened. Show me. The holographic display projected the data above the console, revealing the silhouette of a massive alien fleet emerging from hyperspace. This was no simple test. The Council had deployed a substantial force, one capable of challenging the entire colony if needed. Arjun Patel, ever calm under pressure, leaned over. They're expecting to intimidate us, perhaps even destroy the colony. But we have defenses, strategies, and something they cannot calculate: Our adaptability. Rourke nodded. Then we show them what it means to underestimate humanity. The humans sprang into action. Drones, decoy projections, and energy shields were deployed in calculated patterns designed to confuse and divide the alien fleet. Using the planet's natural terrain, the colony created artificial magnetic fields and gravitational distortions to disrupt enemy navigation. Every action was precise but flexible, prepared to adapt to every unexpected move. From orbit, the alien fleet launched its attack, expecting swift victory. However, they quickly realized that the humans were unlike any species they had encountered. Traditional methods, brute force, and technological superiority were ineffective against the ingenuity and unpredictability of human strategy. They anticipate, adapt, and respond in ways our models cannot predict, a fleet commander reported with disbelief. Their tactics are alive. On the planet's surface, human engineers adjusted the energy shields in real time, feeding data from the ruins of the ancient alien structures they had discovered. These relics, once dormant, were now integrated into the colony's defense network. Humanity had learned not just to survive but to leverage knowledge from the galaxy itself. The first wave of enemy drones approached the colony, only to find themselves ensnared in electromagnetic traps, misdirected by holographic decoys, and disrupted by sudden shifts in the magnetic fields. Every move the aliens made was anticipated and countered with creativity, showing not just skill, but a deep understanding of the environment and technology. Captain Rourke coordinated the defense with calm authority. Remember, protect the people, protect the colony, and stay unpredictable. They cannot control what they cannot foresee. The alien commander, observing the humans, began to feel unease. We have underestimated them. Their creativity, resilience, and coordination are beyond expectation. They think differently from any species we have faced. Despite the overwhelming odds, humans moved with precision and courage. They used the environment to their advantage, diverted enemy energy away from critical structures, and adapted instantly when faced with unexpected attacks. Their actions were a perfect combination of intelligence, ethics, and determination, qualities that no algorithm or brute force could match. After hours of maneuvering, the alien fleet withdrew, unable to break the colony's defenses. Their mission, designed to test and intimidate, had failed. Humanity had not only survived, but demonstrated a level of strategic thinking and adaptability that left the aliens profoundly shaken. Back in the distant council chamber, voices were raised in concern. They are no longer just a minor threat, one said, tension heavy in their tone. Their growth, creativity, and moral strength make them a force that cannot be contained. Another, quieter but firm, added, "It is clear now that we misjudged them. They are unpredictable, inventive, and guided by principles we cannot easily manipulate. Perhaps we should reconsider how we engage with humanity in the future." Meanwhile, on the planet, humans worked to repair minor damages from the encounter, sharing knowledge and discoveries freely among themselves. There was no arrogance, no desire for revenge, only a commitment to survival, progress, and cooperation. Dr. Marisol Vega, examining one of the ancient energy conduits, said, "This knowledge is incredible, but what strikes me most is how they use it. Humans do not seek domination. They seek understanding, adaptation, and protection." Rourke smiled, a quiet acknowledgement of her team's strength. "Exactly. That is the true power of humanity. We do not conquer because we can. We thrive because we must, and we care for those around us while doing it." The Alien Council continued to debate their response, slowly realizing that humans were unlike any species they had ever faced. They were adaptable, moral, and inventive, qualities that could not be measured by traditional metrics of power or threat. The Council acknowledged for the first time that humanity's potential extended far beyond what they had feared or imagined. On the ground, humans began planning further exploration. They intended to study the ancient ruins in detail, develop sustainable energy systems, and expand the colony in harmony with the planet. Every new challenge was an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow stronger, not just for themselves but for the species as a whole. Rourke stood on a ridge overlooking the colony, the lights of the settlement glowing warmly below. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "They may have feared us, but they did not understand us, and the galaxy has yet to see what humanity can truly accomplish." In the quiet of night, as stars shimmered across the alien sky, the humans slept peacefully, unaware of the Council's unease. They had faced storms, scouts, and a fleet, yet they remained steadfast. Their courage, creativity, and moral strength had carried them through every test. The alien observers, however, could not look away. "We have miscalculated," one voice admitted. "This species is exceptional. They will challenge assumptions, reshape strategies, and redefine what is possible in the galaxy." Another voice added, almost reluctantly, "We feared their power, but not nearly enough, and it may already be too late to stop them." Back on the planet, humanity continued its work. Children played near energy fields carefully monitored for safety. Scientists conducted experiments inspired by the alien ruins, and engineers improved every system with insight and creativity. Humanity thrived not through aggression, but through intelligence, cooperation, and moral clarity. Captain Rourke moved among her people, observing their growth and determination. "We are not just surviving," she said quietly. "We are learning, adapting, and creating a future that will inspire every generation. That is the true power of humanity." As dawn broke over the colony once more, the twin moons fading into the light of the planet's sun, the humans of the Epsilon colony stood ready. Their journey had begun with uncertainty, but every challenge had made them stronger. The galaxy had feared their power, yet it had only just begun to understand it. The alien council, far away, would continue to watch, debate, and reassess. Humanity was no longer a minor curiosity. They were a force of creativity, resilience, and moral strength, an unpredictable species capable of achieving greatness not through domination, but through the qualities that made them uniquely human. And while the Council struggled with their fear, humanity continued forward, exploring, learning, and thriving. Their story was only beginning, and the galaxy had yet to witness the full extent of their potential. In the quiet of the Epsilon Plains, the lights of the colony glowed steadily, a beacon of hope, courage, and ingenuity. Humanity had arrived, not to conquer but to endure, to learn, and to illuminate the path forward. The revelation was clear. No species could predict the depth of human creativity, nor the power of a people who refused to give up. And in that, truth lay the promise of a future that would change the galaxy forever. The morning sun rose over the silver plains of Veyara, bathing the human research base in a calm golden light. The land that had once been silent and untouched now pulsed with quiet life and gentle progress. Birds flew over the structures built by humans and Xerans together, and small mechanical drones hummed softly as they tended to crops and data panels. For the first time in Xeran history, there was harmony between two completely different species. The once feared humans had become teachers, builders, and friends. The myths that had painted them as destroyers had faded into stories of wisdom, patience, and hope. Commander Ryland stood on a tall platform overlooking the base. The wind brushed against her face as she watched the humans moving below, helping her people adjust a new atmospheric generator. "They came from so far away," she whispered, "and yet they act as if they belong here." Beside her, Envoy Torella nodded. "Maybe that is humanity's true power," she said. "They belong everywhere because they adapt to everything. No matter the challenge, they find a way, not by destroying, but by learning." Down below, a group of young Xerans trained with human engineers. They were learning how to operate compact machines that could recycle waste into useful materials. A tall human named Dr. Allen guided them patiently, showing how to adjust the controls. "Always observe first," he explained in his calm voice. "If you understand the system, you can improve it without harm. Power means little without wisdom." The Xeran students listened carefully, writing notes and asking questions. Even the youngest among them admired how humans thought, how they asked, tested, and improved everything without arrogance. Dr. Allen smiled as one Xeran child managed to fix a small device on the first try. Perfect, he said warmly. You see? Learning is the first step to progress. You are already on your way. The child's eyes shone. Is that how humans became so strong? He asked. Dr. Allen looked up at the blue sky. Not strong, he replied softly. Resilient. We failed many times, but each time we learned. That is what made us who we are. While the humans shared knowledge on the ground, in the capital city the Xeran Council gathered for a historic meeting. They had seen enough to understand the truth. Humanity was far beyond myth or legend. Counselor Chiron, who had once doubted the humans, stood before the others. We all feared them, he said, because we did not understand them. But now I see that their greatest weapon is not destruction. It is unity. They stand together, they build together, and they move forward together. That is what makes them different. The council agreed. For generations, Xerans had built walls between their nations, fearing one another. But the humans had shown a better way. Even when facing fear and hostility, they never responded with anger. They responded with understanding. Envoy Torella addressed the assembly. The humans did not come to rule us, she said. They came to remind us what we had forgotten, that cooperation can achieve what isolation never can. The myth of humanity was wrong. They are not monsters. They are mirrors, showing us what we could be. The council voted to sign a cultural exchange pact with the humans, a symbol of peace and shared learning between both species. When the news reached the human base, cheers erupted. The humans smiled, shaking hands with Xeran leaders. For them, the pact was not a victory, but a promise, a bridge to the future. That evening, both species gathered under the twin moons of Veyara. Lanterns floated gently in the air as music from both cultures filled the night. Humans and Xerans sat together, sharing stories and laughter. A young Xeran scholar named Velis stood beside a human officer named Captain Hayes. It feels strange, Velis said softly. For so long, I feared your people. I imagined darkness, chaos, war. But now I see something else. Hayes smiled kindly. What do you see now? Velis looked at the stars. Hope, he said. You carry hope with you, everywhere you go. Hayes nodded. Maybe that's our purpose, to remind others that hope is worth protecting. Days turned into weeks, and the humans continued to help the Xerans rebuild their damaged energy grids and renew their environmental systems. New forest began to grow, air became cleaner, and cities glowed with new light. Even the radicals, who had once opposed the humans, were released under peaceful terms. Instead of punishment, they were invited to work alongside human scientists, to learn, to see, and to understand. At first, they hesitated. But as days passed, their hearts changed. They saw the same truth others had seen. Humans were not here to control. They were here to uplift. Laren, the former radical leader, eventually approached Commander Rylan. I was wrong, he admitted quietly. I thought their power meant danger. But now I see. It means balance. They use their strength with care. Rylan nodded. The myths frightened us because they were incomplete. They told us humans were unstoppable, but they forgot to say humans are also compassionate. However, as time went on, the humans began preparing for departure. Their mission was never meant to be permanent. They had learned, shared, and guided, and now it was time to move forward, to other stars, other worlds. When the Xeran Council heard this, sorrow filled the air. Must you leave so soon? Torella asked during a final meeting. We still have so much to learn. A human representative, Commander Hayes, replied gently. Learning never stops. You do not need us to continue. What we started here will live on through you. The greatest sign of progress is independence. He smiled. And we will return. One day, when the stars align again. The day of departure came with both pride and sadness. The massive human ship stood tall on the plains where it had first landed, its silver hull gleaming in the morning light. Thousands of Zirans gathered to watch, their hearts heavy yet full of gratitude. Commander Rylan approached the human captain. "You changed us," she said. "Not through force, but through example. The galaxy may fear you, but we will remember you as friends." The human captain placed a hand over his heart. "Fear fades," he said softly, "but understanding lasts forever. Protect what you have learned, Commander. Build your future with courage." The humans boarded their ship, leaving behind a network of communication beacons and learning systems, so the Zirans could continue to study and grow. As the engines came to life, a deep hum filled the air. The ship rose slowly, its light reflecting off the towers and fields below. The Zirans waved, tears glistening in their eyes as the vessel climbed higher and higher, vanishing into the vast blue sky. In the days that followed, Vayara felt both empty and full. The humans were gone, yet their presence lingered in every corner. New schools taught the philosophy of patience and curiosity. Farmers used human-designed irrigation systems to feed the hungry. Engineers worked to create clean energy for all. Children grew up hearing not fearful myths but hopeful tales, stories of the day when the humans came, not as conquerors, but as teachers. Dr. Velis wrote a book titled The Visitors of Light, describing the lessons learned from humanity. In it, he wrote, "We feared them because we did not understand them, but once we saw their hearts, we realized the truth. Humanity is not a storm that destroys. It is a flame that guides." Years passed. The Zirans thrived, their civilization more united than ever before. The stars that had once seemed distant now called to them. Inspired by humanity, they began to explore space once more, building small vessels to reach neighboring systems. Every ship carried a simple message engraved on its hull. "In peace, we reach for the stars." Humanity showed us the way. Then, one quiet night, the Ziran deep space sensors detected a signal. It was faint, but clear. A human transmission. "Vayara," the voice said through static. "This is the Sol Vanguard. We kept our promise. We're coming home." Joy filled the hearts of every Ziran who heard the message. The legend of humanity, once a story of fear, had become a beacon of friendship that stretched across the stars. And so, the myth ended not in war or destruction, but in unity and hope. The Zirans learned that humanity's true power was not their weapons, not their technology, but their ability to connect, understand, and inspire. The galaxy would never again see humanity as a threat. Instead, they would see them for what they truly were: the bringers of light, the seekers of truth, and the guardians of peace. The myth had been rewritten forever, and it began with the first ship that landed.